I think, like for me, I think at that time when I got there, people was expecting me to be different, like more like Walter Hodge, and like we're completely two different people. Like we react to two completely different things. At that time, I remember I didn't know Real Madrid at all. To me, they were no different from any other European club. You know what I mean? Just the relationship building stuff was weird between Mahalo and myself. You know, like he would speak to me in practice, but if he see me in the street, to me it seemed like he would avoid me and don't say nothing to me. The thing I remember most about winning that championship was the bus ride back to Włocławek. You know, like it was something that I definitely remember for the rest of my life. You know, we had a police escort the whole way. I think the mayor was on a bus with us.
The Lord of the Rings himself in my podcast. Welcome, Quinton. It's a great pleasure to see you and a great pleasure to host you in my podcast.
And thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
What the T2, the Lord of the Rings, as I said, doing right now? Because I know that you are pursuing your career in coaching. You became a basketball coach.
Yes, that's correct. So for the past, about 4 years now, I've been coaching. I was at a prep school to start out. I was assistant coach there and also a resident director and everything there. And then now I'm at a high school coaching with the gentleman that coached me in high school. And I'm the head JV coach there.
So how is like to coach teenagers? Could you say that you have something like talent to coaching, or you trying to find your style of coach?
I think I'm still finding myself. Kids these days are a lot different than when I was growing up. So it's all about having that connection and building a relationship there. I think coaching is pretty much all relationships. The best coaches that I liked, I had the better relationship with. You know what I mean? And when you have that personal connection, because it is a personal connection there more than just coaching, I think they relate to you more and they listen to your input. And because at the end of the day, you're trying to help them be the best that they can be.
And it's easy to it's easy to find a good connection with teenagers in these years, because we see like at the NCAA what happened when this transfer portal open and we have this NIL deals. I know a lot of old coaches don't like this at all, but in another side, I know that all the American players that today plays in Poland, when I ask them, everyone is like approving this thing that this happens. So what are your thoughts about this?
For the older coaches, a lot of them don't like it because they came up during one style, and that's how it is. And when things change, you know, in life you have to change all the time. Life is constantly changing. So this is a huge change for them. And you have a lot of coaches that have been in the game for well over 20 years and they got to adapt to this new landscape and they don't like it at all. Where I feel there's a lot of the younger coaches that are just coming in, this is the landscape that they're dealing with. So they're more open and receptive to jumping in there and just figuring it out. So for me personally, I think it's good. I think the kids do deserve to get some type of compensation for their talents. I also think that it should be some governing body to where it's just not kids just moving constantly 24/7. You know, so right now the window that we in is kind of the wild, wild west, and they're still figuring things out. So until things change on that perspective, it's just what we got to deal with for right now. But I do think it'll change. It'll slow down a little bit to where maybe they do allow you to move from school to school. But maybe that only happens one time, or maybe, you got to put 2 years out of school or something before you can move again. Just something to make it to where it's not like people are just moving constantly.
And have you ever show your players the footage or the highlights of your game, or even told them about your career in Europe?
I tell them little bits. I'm not one of those people that just like constantly bring up back in my day what I'm doing. But one thing I remember my dad telling me, he was like, if you're good enough, people will talk about you. You don't have to say much. So the kids that are around me, they don't had other people that spoke enough about me. So they already know who I am and what I've done, or somewhat of what I've done overseas. And if they ask me, I definitely, will show them some stuff. But I don't go around just beating my chest like, look what I've done.
And do you see similarities between you and them at their age? Because I'm looking at your teenage years, the times you spent at the in streetball, like playing on the streets.
Right.
And now we don't see like many kids playing on the streets. I don't think like maybe this Racker Park became a myth, a legend, but not like with not like in your times when it was reality. So. It's really, do you see maybe some similarities between them and you at that age?
Nah, not much. Not like now. Everything is AAU.
Yeah.
Out here, everything is AAU. Constantly playing. All the kids got a trainer now. So it's way different than when I was growing up. I learned a lot by playing with older people that taught me how to play the right way. And now most kids, they just go with a trainer and work on individual moves. And then when you get them at the high school level, you got to teach them how to run plays, how to play off the ball, things like that. So I think that's something that we're losing as a country at, as far as like developing our players. So we got to grasp that back.
It's interesting thing because I one time I heard the interview with Gina Aurema, the woman basketball coach, and he told that he praised the European training system because in America they always play the games almost every time, and in Europe you have like the almost full week of training and then only one game. And he said that much better training method that you have in America. Do you agree with that?
No, I definitely agree with it. Now we kind of got away from that. Like I said, everything is so focused on the ball being in your hand, and guys are jumping off the same foot, same hand, making layups, but they can't just make a regular, simple, basic move that when I was young, that was the first thing you learned before you learned, how to do a step back and do all these different things now.
And tell me, going back to your career, how was like, because you spent your first years in New York, then you moved to Denver, you moved to Lamar College, then you moved to West Coast to Fresno State University. How was like to live like family and at a young age going to the other part of the country?
I guess when I was younger, I really didn't think about it that much. You know what I mean? I just was like, all right, I'm with my grandmother, or I'm with my mom. Like that's all I need. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when I look back at it, it definitely built me up to be the adult that I needed to be in order to handle like going abroad for 10 months, and being away from my family. So, but also too, it made me like really focus on what I wanted to do. When you're away from your family, it really makes it seem like, all right, do I really love this game, or am I doing it just to pursue money or something like that? You know what I mean? And a lot of people in my situation couldn't do it because they couldn't have the mental capacity to be away from their family for such a long period. So I definitely think that like my childhood about being away from my family and going these different places to do stuff, it really built me up for it later on in life.
So I suppose like move from America to Turkey to Karşıyaka was a big challenge for you because first time in Europe. At that time there wasn't really a good like apps like Skype or Facebook or WhatsApp to video call. So yes, but at that time in Karşıyaka you were with, for example, Gary Neal, who later became a good NBA player. And how was like to move to Europe? Because one time I heard the interview with you and you said that for American players usually it's like either to play or NBA or Europe, but in Europe it doesn't matter because like the Americans don't know much about the European clubs.
Right. Well, when I was that age, I didn't know much about the European clubs. I think now that's one thing that the kids do have a lot of advantage on is, I'm talking to you on my phone right now, so you can look on the phone and you can see everything. You see all the, I ain't gonna say all, but most of the European clubs. So they have an insight of what's going on over there. I didn't know nothing about Izmir or Karşıyaka until I got there, So that was a big change. I think that was the first time I lived in a predominantly Muslim country. You know, I've been around the Muslim faith growing up in New York because there's so many different, you know, cultures and stuff there. But that was the first time where it's just predominantly all Muslims. But at the same time, we all shared the common thing, which was basketball, you know, which I love to do. So in that site, it was pretty easy. I had I think it wasn't no Skype, or Skype might have just came out. After I got there. I think the biggest thing was like AIM, where you can like text message through the computer or whatever. But other than that, I like the downtime is really where it gets you. So I just try to stay occupied and work on my game as much as possible.
So at that time, playing in Europe was like kind of punishment because you didn't have a chance to play in NBA?
I didn't look at it like that. At all. I just looked at it as an opportunity, you know, like, all right, I didn't get drafted. It wasn't nothing solid that I could stay back home for. And plus I knew a lot of people that was playing overseas and in Europe and stuff like that. So I was just like, all right, I'll go over there and just gotta, you know, make a name for myself.
But you play a couple of summer league games. I think you was also in the preseason camp with Portland.
Yes, I went to veterans camp with Portland, but that was a couple years later that I went to veterans camp when they had Brandon Roy and Greg Oden, Nicholas Batum, and those guys.
Yeah, and that moment was that the closer you were to NBA?
Say that again?
That time in Portland, it was the closer distance you've been to playing in NBA?
Oh yeah. That was the closest distance I've been to NBA. Like I stayed at camp for about a week, maybe two, you know, and then they end up cutting me, and then I end up going to I forgot where I went after that, but I went somewhere overseas. I can't remember.
Yeah. And you're talking about this opportunities in Europe. I think about your time in Real. That was too big opportunity at that time.
Mm-hmm. It was a big opportunity, but once again, I tell you. Yeah. You know, knowing the business and knowing where you're going would definitely, you know, prepare you for the situation. At that time, I remember I didn't know Real Madrid at all. To me, they were no different from any other European club. You know what I mean?
It sounds funny because in Europe, like for Europeans, Real Madrid is like a legendary team, you know.
Right, absolutely. So I didn't know like the scope of everything until like I got there. You know, understand what I'm saying? So. Yeah. But that's why I say now is like the education and stuff it's more accessible to basketball players to know what club you're going to.
But do you have good memories from Madrid? You played with Luis Bullock. I know Felipe Reyes. There was, I think, young Mirotic and Bogdanovic. They were like teenagers. I don't know.
Yeah. Yes.
So and Juan Plaza, who was a young coach, unexperienced at that time. But yeah, do you have a good memories or maybe like bad memories?
No, I have nothing but good memories. You know, even in my bad moments, you know, up until like when I got cut and everything, it's all a learning experience. You know what I'm saying? So I learned a lot from going through that. You know what I mean? And it helped me later on in my career. But it's definitely more good memories than bad memories for sure.
And yeah, you have also a good time in Turkey. But the moment the people in Poland remember the most, it's like the first time you came to Poland. And I know from one of the past interviews with you that at the beginning you wasn't happy to play in Poland.
Right. I wouldn't say I wasn't happy to play in Poland. I think, like for me, I think at that time when I got there, people was expecting me to be different, like more like Walter Hodge, and like we're completely two different people. Like we react to two completely different things. So I think that was the one thing that was kind of like more not upsetting, but just annoying. You know what I mean? Like everyone expecting me to be more like this guy, where I'm like, I'm fine, I'm cool. You know what I mean? So it wasn't that I was unhappy.
And how you remember the first weeks in Poland? I think at that time Michał Uvalin was the coach of the.
Yes.
Yeah. How was how you remember the first weeks in Poland?
I mean, the first weeks were solid, just like any other training camp. I think I want to say he was like my first like Eastern European coach that I played for at that time. So you always hear about the coaches from like, you know, Serbia, that whole area and how hard they are. But it really wasn't nothing that I haven't experienced growing up. Like I had tough coaches and stuff before. I know at that time for me, just the relationship building stuff was weird between Mahalo and myself. You know, like he would speak to me in practice, but if he see me in the street, to me it seemed like he would avoid me and don't say nothing to me, which is completely odd to me. You know what I mean? but I mean, I'm sure you know. Like I since played for him later on in Turkey, and our relationship is way better. It was way better when we was in Turkey. It's way better now than it was when we first got together in Poland.
And it was easy for you to find a good connection with Polish guys. Like there was Kamil Hanas was in my podcast also. Marcin Sroka. There was some Polish guys, and I was like to make a relationship with Polish people.
I mean, everyone's different. Some people I have a better relationship than others. You know, some people are just a work relationship. Other people, you know, you speak to a little bit on social media. You know, wish them happy birthday, things like that. It's just like any other place, you know. So just some place, like I said, is business like. Other people you make friendships with and you keep in contact more than others. That's just life.
And what makes the good connection between you and Walter that you finish your first season with championship? I don't know if you like following the Polish league news, but Walter played right now. He recently played last game for Zastal, but he came back and you know everybody was cheering on him. Everybody was coming to the Zielona Góra just to see him play. But yeah, from my teenage years, I remember like this duo Hosley, was killing on the court. And from your experience, memories, how was like to create the backcourt with Walter?
Well, I keep up with it a little bit. I think they just played Anvil. Was it last night or 2 nights ago? Something like that.
Yes.
Okay. It was great. You know, when we first, you know, start playing with each other, we got to, you know, build that chemistry and trust and things of that nature. But I know a little bit about him before I got there, what school he went to. I know some of the guys that he played with, and we just had to just go out there and just take care of business. And I think we formed that chemistry, us two, along with the rest of our team. And we was able to win the first championship in Zielona Góra. So, I mean, ultimately that was the goal anyway, and it was just good to get it done.
I was wondering if this first championship with Zielona Góra was like easier and for you and for the team, because you won, I think, finals 4-0. And the second final you played with Turów Gorzelec, and you lost first 2 games, and then you won 4 in a row. So I assuming, and I heard in one interview said that this first was easier because Gdynia, who was like the dominating the league at that time, was like struggling, and everybody knew they were gonna fail. And the second time there was a Turów Gorzelec who was reigning champions, and they were quite powerful. And yes, but today, when you're thinking about this 2 championship, really, do you think that the second was tougher to achieve?
So I mean, I say the second one is always tougher because you already did it once. So it's like, can you get it done again? You know what I mean? Yeah. And if you remember, like I won. Well, when I was there, we won it that year. And then I left. I went to Italy. Yeah. And then I came back. So it was expectations of, all right, I'm coming back. They're gonna win a championship. So it's like, all right, that's pressure right there. I never looked at it as a negative thing. And even when we went down 0-2, I always felt that we was going to win it. Plus, the first 2 games were on the road, and at that time, we had the best home record in the league. So we always just felt like we'll take care of business at home. We just need to win 1 on the road, and then we're going to come back and take care of business at home, which we did. So it's almost like the reverse sweep. Instead of going 4-0, we kind of lost the first 2 and just won 4 straight. You know, so.
But you also had, I remember you always said good words about your time in Roma, that you liked to play in Roma. I think you have chance to play with Ignerski and Szewczyk, the Polish guys.
Yes. Rome was great. Like, I really enjoy Rome. I like the city. I like the history, the culture and everything, the pace of it. It was a great time. Wish we could have achieved a little bit more. You know, I feel like we underachieved quite a bit during that year. But as far as like, you know, off the court experience, it was great.
One interesting quote about from you I found is that you appreciate more the DPOY award than the 2 finals MVP awards.
I do.
Why?
I do.
Why?
I just feel like, not everybody plays defense. I think if you look at anything, everyone looks at the offensive numbers first. How many points this person scored? You know what I mean? For example, I feel like that in order to do it on the defensive end, and I know I can score as well. Whereas like I'm a two-way player. I'm not just a one-way player. You know what I mean? So, and then also I remember my first year in Turkey as a rookie. And I remember my coach saying, like, he's like, all right, well, you can score, but can you do it on the defensive end? And I'm like, bro, like, defense is really my thing. Like, I done played against the best offensive players in college and held them below, like, their averages and stuff like that. So I just wanted to go out there and lock whoever it was I was guarding up and just be as much of a menace as possible on the defensive end.
And in terms of chemistry, which team was like better to leave to play? The first one in Stelmet or the second one? I know in the first one, the Walter, the Kamil Hanas, this guy knew how to party. I don't know if you remember parties in X-Demon and this all the clubs.
Right.
So yeah. So which team you have better memories?
I mean, both teams I have great memories. I can't say one is better than the other. I think that probably the second one stands out a little bit more because I think, remember we had a coaching change. That's when Sasha
Filipovski, yeah.
So he came in, and then we moved some players, got new players. So it was just like we always like just figuring things out on the fly. Whereas the first year, for the most part, everyone stayed there the whole year. So I probably would say probably the second one. It was just I say that was a little bit more tougher, and then we actually came together to form like better chemistry, I think, late.
And Filipovski was also coach from he was from Slovenia, from the north of the Europe, but he was very different comparing to Uvalin in terms of like communicating with players. I know that you praise him a lot of times for like the way he worked.
Yes. I like the way that he kind of communicates with players and the way he talks to players and try to build a personal relationship with players and all that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like I said a little bit earlier, those are the coaches that tend to get the most out of me.
But from this second time in Zastal, I found an interesting story that when you live in the apartment in Zielona Góra, there was one neighbor who was also always complaining that you making too much noise. And I think one time he even came to the club and saying that this N-word I would not making too much noise. Do you remember this story?
I remember the story vividly. I don't know if he called me the N-word or not. That'd be first to me, but it ain't the first time I've ever been called that, so it really doesn't bother me. Nah, I definitely was up quite late. I think I remember one time my dad was there, and it was real loud. It was kind of loud or whatever. Then the cops came to the door and all this type of stuff. But even with that, it really wasn't no big deal for me. It wasn't, like I was trying to be a nuisance and doing it on purpose. But I guess I was too loud for that neighbor's liking.
And do you remember your biggest cultural shock you experienced in Poland?
My biggest cultural shock?
Yes.
Probably like the biggest culture shock was probably like going through like some like the more smaller towns and just have people stare at me, which is kind of understandable because they probably not used to like, people of my color tone and my height and stuff like that coming through there so often. And then also too, this is before the highway was like completely built and everything where you could go from Berlin to Zielona Góra the other way. So I think that probably was it. But other than that, I thought it was great. Like I definitely would recommend people to go to Poland for sure. The people treated me great. I definitely had a great experience there.
And tell me the story how you landed in Iran. What happened that you played in Iran?
they were trying to get me over there for a while, and I just was like, nah, I'm not gonna go. And then I have a Georgian passport. I don't know if you know that, but I have a Georgian passport. So then after a while, I was like, I spoke to a couple of people that live in America that are from Iran. They was like, nah, you should go. Like, you're like, the people are really nice. And then plus it was, towards the latter years of my career and everything too. So I just like, you know what, let me just try it. Let me see it. And I went, and it was a different experience, much different than anything I ever experienced. But I am glad I went to go experience that.
And you also had, like, I would say, very briefly experience of playing in Russia. I mean, you was in a Russian team, but you don't even play, I think, in Russia because you were just training in the Lithuania or something.
Yeah.
Yes, outside the Russia. Tell me more about this short experience.
Yeah, so I signed with a team in Russia. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but we was in Lithuania. We're training. We're supposed to be there for about 3 weeks before we go to Russia. And I remember it was our first friendly game. And at the time, the owner of the team was a player as well. So this is our first friendly game. He starts himself. So he starts over me. We playing the same position, no problem. So then, make a long story short, we lose the game. And he's already acting like it's the end of the world. How do we lose this game? Blah, 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 all this type of stuff. So I'm just know from prior experience, I'm like, yeah, this ain't going to work. This is the first preseason game, and they acting like we're in the middle of the season and we're about to not make the playoffs or something like that, So then I just told my agent, I said, yeah, this ain't going to work. Get me out of here. So that's how I end up, leaving that team within like the first probably 10 days or something like that. And funny enough, everyone that was on that team ended up leaving. About 2 months later, everybody that was on that team, it was like the mass exodus. Everybody started going to different situations and stuff like that.
And how the deal with Anvil happened? Because they signed you during the season.
Right.
They risk quite a lot because there was always, when I remember, because at that time I was adult, that there was opinion about you that, okay, yeah, Hosley is a great player, but sometimes he is quite a hard guy to work with, and I don't remember this opinion about you.
Right. Well, so that happened after I got released from Gaderson in Turkey.
Yeah,
I was in Gaderson in Turkey. Go ahead. So that happened, I think, right before the Polish Cup. Because I think I came during the Polish Cup time or whatever. That's when I came there. So that's when I heard, like, they were thinking about signing me or whatever. What do I think about it? Then I spoke with the coach, and, I end up, coming aboard there. I think a lot of people, like, just have different opinions about me because, like, I don't know if you notice about me, but I'm about my business. So if you're going to, like, bullshit me about my money or, late payments or anything like that, most players may not say nothing. I'm not that type of person that's not going to say nothing. And I'm gonna go in your office. We're going to talk about it. If you say a date, I'm going to hold you to that date. So that's why I think the biggest thing about me is people saying that I'm hard to work with is more so front office stuff. If you take care of your business, I'm going to take care of my business, hold my end, and that'll be that.
It doesn't bother you because always I remember you were compared to Quinton Woods. Always was like, Quinton Woods or Quinton Hosley, who is better? And yeah, I have to admit that Quinton Woods was like my biggest, I think, Polish league idol growing up because he came before you. I know that you have chance to play against each other when he played for Koszalin, but he was after his prime. But you always many times heard this question about Quinton Woods. Doesn't this annoy you?
No, it doesn't annoy me at all because it's all competitive. It's just like, Michael Jordan or LeBron James. It's like one of those questions that's just always going to forever go on, and it goes until your personal opinion or preference, But I think we're both great players. I think we both did great things in the league. And I think it's always it's rewarding to be compared to someone like that.
in Zielona Góra you had Walter Hodge. In Anvil you had Ivan Almeida. How was like this war to play with the second one with Almeida? And do you see similarities between Almeida and Hodge?
Nah, I think they're completely two different players. They way two completely different players. Ivan was very good. Ivan could do it all. You know, he was long like myself. He could defend. He could shoot it. You know, he was athletic enough to get to the basket. You know what I mean? Like he was very, very good. I think Walter is way more quicker than Ivan. I think he's lefty, so he could create a shot a lot easier. You know, so I think there's no comparison. But they both are very good players.
And how was like to live in Włocławek? I remember because recently I was in Włocławek recording a podcast, and I saw that you like the photo of the arena. So I assume that some memories came back. But how was like to live in Włocławek?
Włocławek was cool. I mean, most of the time, like when you're somewhere, you're going to the gym, you're working out, 2 times a day, and then maybe you get some food, and then you're back in the crib. So that's pretty much what it was for me. But the times that I did go out to different restaurants and eat in a couple of places, it was great. Also, it's a couple of cities that's not too far away, like 30-minute drive, stuff like that. So that helps as well, just to get out of there and see something different. But it was a good experience there.
I remember like even today, even recently when the Zastal play against Anvil and Zastal won, some fans from Anvil post one video that was shared many times. It was from semifinals. The 5th game of semifinals. I think one of the most iconic game in the modern history of league. Tell me more about this game and what happened, what superpower you had in the 4th quarter that you scored 16 points in the quarter, and according to the commentator, you murdered the Stelmet.
No, I mean, we're all competitors, like everybody that goes out there and suit them up, no matter, if you played in one team for 10 years and you went to another team for the first year, you want to go out there and beat that team, so that's what it was for me. I'm super competitive. I wanted to win another championship, and it just so happened that, Stelmet was in our way, so during the 4th quarter, it really got down to crunch time, and I made a couple shots, and I made a couple shots.
Sounds easy,
right. And I was able to help my team win. But I think when the pressure situations, if you truly call yourself a great player or a special player, you show up. And I was just happy that I could show up for my team, and we was able to get the W.
And do you remember like the advices the coach Milicić said to you to the team? Because I remember I watched some highlights from this game as a part of preparation, and I remember he demanded more steals from the team, and really like in the 4th quarter you had some steals, and because you was always known as a guy who can steal ball because you had leader in Poland, in Italy, in Turkey. And one thing that I was thinking, because when I look at that game and that points, I saw that even in this 4th quarter, when you made shot after shot, you were a calm guy. You didn't like, if I remember, you didn't like celebrate every basket. But on the other side, Almeida was very expressive. And I think, you create like the duo, but the duo that with different mindset, with different system of expressing emotion. Do you agree with that?
No, I agree. I mean, certain, depending on the style of game too, like I really don't try to talk too much. I score. I try to keep it calm. More like some people say more like Tim Duncan. How he's like expressionless when he scores, stuff like that. And then other people are like more expressive every time they score, trying to get the crowd going, stuff like that. I definitely think Ivan was more that way. And he fed off the crowd, and it made him, do more stuff like that. Me, I have more like of an internal thing, whereas like, all right, I just did this. Now I got to go on the opposite end, get a stop, and do it all over again. You know what I mean? So it's just like, do it again, do it again, do it again. So that's pretty much how I play.
So you never was like a trash talk king.
I'm not gonna say I never, because I have trash talk before, but I really try to stay away from it. I really try to stay away from it.
And do you remember like the celebration after the final? Because like the entire Włocławek was almost like closed to celebrate your championship.
The thing I remember most about winning that championship was the bus ride back to Włocławek. You know, like it was something that I definitely remember for the rest of my life. You know, we had a police escort the whole way. I think the mayor was on a bus with us, and it was a great time. And then when we got back to the arena, all the fans and stuff was waiting for us. So that was great. And then also, when we had the our parade that went around the whole town, like that was dope. That was something I really cherished, and I was glad to be a part of that.
And how was like to work with Coach Milicić? He's now head coach of Polish national team. He recently even worked in Italy, in some Italian in Napoli. Yeah, how he was as a coach? How you remember like the relationship with him?
Nah, he was definitely a good coach. I learned a lot from him. Some of the stuff that we were doing to me at the time was kind of like unconventional, like especially on the defensive end, back to the sideline, stuff like that. And it's funny, like how I see the game transcend to now. When Baylor won their championship a couple years ago, they kind of ran the same system. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh shit, we was running this in Poland a couple years ago. You know what I mean? So it's kind of stuff like that you don't think of when you're a player. But then as I started getting into coaching and looking at like different styles of defense and offense and stuff like that, it's kind of cool how you get to see those things being played out at the collegiate level in college and also at the NBA level.
But we can say that you had a lot of good coach you work with. But if you had to choose, the one that you took the most like inspiration right now, who would you pick?
My mother. Hands down, my mom's the best.
I know that your mom played basketball, but why?
I mean, she was the first person to put the ball in my hand and taught me out there and built me up the confidence to go out there and keep playing. My mom, the biggest thing she ever told me, she was like, look, you can't get no worse. You're bad today, but tomorrow you're going to be a little bit better. You ain't going to be no worse than what you were before. So I say my mom's probably my best coach. But if you're talking about as far as like playing on a European level, who would I say my best coach was? I like Sasha a lot. I think probably him and my coach at Igor at Anvil. That'd probably be like 1 or 2 for me.
And what happened that you joined Zastal for the third time, Zielona Góra?
Trying to think, when did I get there? Wasn't it late? I got there like February, I think it was.
Yeah, I think at that time Jovovich was the coach of the team.
Yeah,
Igor.
Yeah. So I think I got there late. It was you start to get towards the end, and I'm like, all right, do I really want to go here? No. So I was just waiting it out, and they just basically came with an offer, and I'm like, all right, I'll go there. I'm familiar with it. You know, I know how the people are somewhat. So I just end up, going there, and that was my last time there. Last time in Europe, actually.
So, like, be honest. Like, if you had to choose Anvil or Zastal, the team you had the better memories that you feel more connected to, it will be Zastal because you spent more time?
Yeah, for sure. Zastal. I mean, I went there 3 times. I think anybody would say I have more of a connection there than anywhere else. 2 seasons, 2.5 seasons there compared to a half season in Anvil. So it's not close.
I know some fans in Zielona Góra that would like to see the banner with your name in the hall.
Well, they're not the only one. I like to see it too. But I don't know if it's going to happen or not. But I mean, they ain't the only ones that I like to see that. But if it can happen, I definitely would like to be there. I definitely will come back and it'll be an honor if that can happen. But I don't know. We'll see.
And do you watch Polish League right now? Do you have a chance to watch?
I haven't watched any like games. I just see like maybe like highlights and stuff that's on social media. It's kind of hard, especially with the time difference.
Yes.
And then me coaching myself, and trying to keep up with everything here, plus working and everything. It's just kind of difficult.
And do you have contact with some like players from the Polish time today?
Yeah, so like the past 2 summers, I ran into Aaron Sell a couple times in Vegas. So like NBA Summer League. So I keep in touch with him. I keep in touch with Camille. I keep in touch with Walter. Who else? That's about it off the top of my head. I say those 3 is probably the most that I keep in touch with. And then there's also like some fans in Zielona Góra that I keep in touch with via social media and stuff as well.
It's a funny thing because, as we said at the beginning, you were called the Lord of the Rings. But correct me if I'm wrong. The only medals you won in your career was in Poland.
Yes, that's true.
So it's funny thing that you were called like the Lord of the Rings, but outside of Poland, you didn't win. Like
Lord of the Rings. So Lord of the Rings only in Poland.
And it was easy for you to say that goodbye to professional basketball.
Yeah, for sure. Because when I hung it up, COVID hit. So I think I went to DR for a little bit, and then I came back home, and I was just waiting, and then that's right when COVID hit and everything shut down, and that's when I was just like, all right, so ain't no telling when everything's gonna be somewhat normal again. And I'm like, at some point you got to transition away from basketball. So that's when I was like, all right, this the perfect time to do it.
So what are your goals in coaching?
So my goals in coaching, I'm trying to, work my way up to be, either at the collegiate level, which is in college, or, possibly at the NBA level. I like to either be a collegiate coach or like an NBA scout. So I've been in communication with some people, and hopefully that can happen soon.
So you don't see yourself working in Europe?
I'm not opposed to it. I'm not saying I won't do it if it's a good opportunity or something like that. Yeah, I would definitely go to Europe and be a coach or, an assistant coach or something like that over there. It has to be the right opportunity, and it has to make sense.
And at the end, because I always ask the guests in my podcast to pick a dream team, but only from the players, from the teammates that played with explanation. You can choose by sympathy, you can choose by the level, but you played with a lot of great players during your long career. So I would like to hear, and we start from the point guard.
All right, so you want me to do what now? Like, explain it to me again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, tell me your dream team with explanation of each choice, but the dream team only from the players that you played with.
Okay, only from the players I played with in Poland or where?
General. You can choose from college, from Europe, Iran, whatever, Georgia, whatever.
Okay, so where we at? Point guard?
Yes. Who are the point guard?
We're at the point guard. I'd probably go Sergio Llull as my point guard.
Why?
That man just got so much energy. Like he's just super energetic. It just seemed like he never gets tired. You know what I mean? And I remember him because when he was playing, he was like super young at that time. I'm like, all right, he got all this energy now because he's young. But then watching him as he got older, it just seemed to just like not stop. You know what I mean? So he's super energetic. So that I got him as my one.
So shooting guard.
Say again.
Shooting guard at the second. Who you choose?
Shooting guard. I probably would have to go Gary Neal. Gary Neal as my shooting guard. Like that dude, he puts in the time. He was, he played the combo guard for us, so at times he had to play the one as well. But his natural position is definitely a shooting guard. He can create a shot. He's a consistent shooter, and he can score at all 3 levels.
But he also had at the beginning similar career as you, because he also played good in Karsiaka. He went to Barca and he played like he didn't have a chance to perform in Barca, so he came to Italy, and Italy he developed, and then we remember him from, for example, San Antonio. And at the small forward, I suppose Quinton Hosley.
Of course. Who else would I put at the small forward? Of course, I got to put myself.
Yeah, so we know that T2 at the position 3. Position 4, power forward.
Now I'm going blank. I'm trying to think who was the forwards that I played with. Because in some places in Turkey and stuff, I played the 4.
You can't pick yourself at 2 positions.
I know I can't pick myself twice, but I'm just saying some places I played the 4. Let me go 5. 5 I go probably Lazaros. He played with me in Real Madrid, the big Greek guy. He was really good at the 5 spot. I'll probably go with him at my 4. I know what I do. This is what I'm going to do. I move myself to the 4, and I put Ivan at the 3. And then
okay, so Ivan Almeida, the small forward. Why?
Because I feel he'll bring that energy. Every time he score a bucket, he'll be trash talking. Every time he do something great, he'll be trash talking, try to get the crowd riled up. And then I'll be there to calm him down, trying to keep him focused.
And coach, I suppose, like we said before, Sasha Filipovski.
There you go.
So you have a nice dream team. And coming to the end, a part of staying healthy, what I can wish to you?
Thank you. I appreciate it. I wish you all the best. Thanks for having me.
But what I can wish to you, a part of staying healthy?
What can you wish to me? I don't know. You tell me. I don't know.
No, NBA contract.
I hope NBA contract, college contract, just I'm trying to move up. But right now I'm just all about learning the game as much as I can and try to teach what I know and to the youth, to the guys that's trying to achieve what I achieved. Trying to help them out with their goals and everything. So I'm trying to pass all the knowledge I can on to them.
Okay, so I wish you all the best. Big thanks, Quinton, for joining my podcast. It was a great pleasure and game like back the travel to my teenage years because like I said before we started, when I look at you first, like all my memories from the teenage years came back. So big thanks. It was a great pleasure to host you and a great pleasure to hear your stories, and nothing but all the best for you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.